Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to our program again today. This is another in our continuing series of programs spotlighting the Samaritan Counseling Center. If you have not used their services, you may not know anything about this facility that's been in the Permian Basin for 43 years, serving the mental health community, the counseling community, and this is a center that I am very high on because I have witnessed it firsthand to the wide variety of services and the wide variety of people that they serve. After 43 years in the Permian Basin, this spiritual-based counseling service offers services to all ages and many types of counseling. Child play therapy, youth counseling, veterans counseling, clergy counseling, and individual and family counseling. So this morning you're going to meet Chris Wray. Chris is the president of the board of the Samaritan Counseling Center, and Chris has been a part as a volunteer of the Samaritan Counseling Center for the past 6 years. And Chris, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And before we start talking about the Samaritan Counseling Center, I want you to talk about yourself and give us a little bit of background and how you got to the Samaritan Counseling Center.
Well, I moved to West Texas a little over 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago now. And I came here to open up a State Farm agency in Odessa. And we've been here ever since, married to the community. This is where we built the business. We'll be here, and so whenever I opened up, I wanted to do something that gave back to the community. And I was friends with the vice president of the bank I was working with, and she had told me about Samaritans and asked me if I'd like to be a board member. And once I learned about the organization, there's lots of good stuff people do here in the Permian Basin, but I wanted to be able to do something that was an extension of my faith in Christ, but outside the church walls per se. And so I didn't want to just do any kind of organization. I wanted to be able to do something that helped our religious community.
And really touched your heart.
Yeah.
To make it a really personal mission.
Yeah. Well, both my parents are counselors, and so I've got a personal connection with counseling there, but also just the faith-based part of it in complementing our religious community. And sometimes pastors are not trained in counseling, and they can help for 2 or 3 sessions, but there's many instances where they need to pass a baton to somebody that's a trained professional, and we want to be able to use that the center for any congregation here in the Permian Basin, and so that our pastors can pass that baton and know that they're going to be taken care of and still receive faith-based counseling to where they can have an opportunity to have counseling and wholeness because we believe Jesus Christ is our ultimate healer. And so we want to be able to have that service here. And we're the only faith-based counseling service in the entire Permian Basin.
And it's a certified, accredited counseling service that, just like our colleges and universities are certified to certain standards by the Southern Association of Colleges and Universities, the Samaritan Counseling Center is certified by the Samaritan Institute, which does faith-based. And it's really important that more and more research over the years have shown that you can't separate mind and body and spirit. That's all connected. And
Absolutely.
So you don't just take care of your physical self, you take care of physical and mental and spiritual. And so that's a real good direction that we've been going in. One of the things you didn't tell about yourself was that as I heard you say, your one claim to fame was you were a descendant of Wray, who was in the King Kong movies.
Yeah, it didn't make me any money, but she's a distant relative.
I know, but that makes you a celebrity in its own. But I want us to talk a little bit about all of the things that you have seen that are important contributions to a certain segment of our population with the Samaritan Counseling Center, because they, first of all, they have a sliding scale of cost and lots of grants to pay insurance and lots of other ways to pay, but their main focus is to come in and whether you self refer or whether you're referred by a doctor or a minister or a school teacher, principal, you have a lot of access to the Samaritan Counseling Center.
Yeah, well, we do a wide variety of counseling and just being in the community, and sometimes as an insurance agent, even we see unfortunate side of things, we see a lot of tragedy, and so I've been able to combine the two and be able to refer people to the counseling center and be able to help them get help. You know, I'm, as an insurance agent, I'm not trained, but you know, I was able to point them in the direction of getting help. And so, and some of these families weren't able to get help. And in fact, 50% of our clientele need some financial assistance to get the therapy that they need to be able to get the counseling that's needed. And so, you know, and they have a minimum copayment of at least $20. It costs, for every hour of therapy that our center does, it costs about $139 per hour. And so every client, even if they're full paying insurance, we lose money on. And so so half the revenue is generated by fundraising and donating and from generous people here in the Permian Basin and companies and different things like that. And so 50% of our income comes from grants and donors, and allows us to be able to help people that might not be able to afford it.
Yeah, and I want us to talk about two particular fundraisers that I love. And you don't have a lot of fundraisers, but I also want to talk about the grants that you had that you mentioned, because the grants are primarily to pay for specific audiences like veterans. And we have so many veterans that really need extra counseling, or their families do. And so through a grant, then their costs are paid.
Yes, yeah, they're help supplemented, especially for the veterans. You know, we have a lot of young men that have fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, and you know, they're out here working in the oil field, and so the terrain here is very similar to that of Iraq, and so maybe the smell of a burning well or a dust storm or something can set off something and trigger something in their memory that they're going to need, that sets something off and they need to redo.
We're going to have to take a break. We'll be back in just a minute and continue this conversation.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.